Do you need a contract with your sourcing agent? That's what the title says on this episode or on this YouTube video. It depends on kind of where you watch or you listen to it. And this is also what this episode is about today. So do you need a contract with your sourcing agent? How that's going to go today is we're going to go very briefly into why you need a sourcing agent. Then we'll go over the points that the sourcing agent has to do for you. And then we'll actually answer the questions because it's a little bit twofold and kind of depends on a variable or two. So let's just dive in, learn everything about if you need a contract with your sourcing agent. And if you wonder, why am I, talking about this? I've been in China now since 2013. We sourced more than 1,000 products for me, other people, and my partner here in China. So in the time, I learned a thing or two. And if you're new to this channel, consider subscribing. Send me a message anytime in the notes below, in the comment section, so that I can answer it for you. Whatever you want to know that's related to sourcing, selling, and profiting from your products, just put it in there, and I'll be happy to answer any of your questions. So. Let's dig in and let's speak about sourcing agents. This is one of my favorite topics, to be honest. I believe, and that's kind of the things that I stand for, is that you should never ever source your own products in China. Whenever you can have a sourcing agent that helps you on the process, go for it, because you will never have a bigger time and money saving really if you don't go with an agent. You have to have an agent. They take so much hassle and so much work off your shoulders. And we're going to speak a little bit about that now, what they do for you. I always like to give the example. If I go down the street with my girlfriend to the market, we have a fish market down there, and we go buy something, whether that's whatever shrimps or whatever they have at the market. Right? It's a market. So when we go together, she always has to walk first, and I'll have to go behind her, so that the seller doesn't associate us two together. Because as soon as they see us together, the price goes up, and the price goes up because I'm not Chinese. Right, so she's Chinese. She automatically gets the better prices off the batch, and it's the same for you on Alibaba. If you go out on Alibaba, and by the way, whether that's Alibaba or 1688 is the same thing, right? So whenever you go out and you ask a Chinese supplier for quotations, the price that you get is always going to be greater than the price that the agents get. Right, so basically they do all of the work for you. They get you a better price, and if you order, let's say, for more than $3,000, if that's kind of your order range, then it absolutely worth it from the first order on, because the money that they save you usually is big enough for the fee. So the whole fee is covered with the savings, so you don't pay any more money, but they do all the work for you. And I'm going to make a video about that, kind of a comparison video, sourcing with and without an agent, but that will take a little bit of time, because sourcing without an agent is quite time consuming. So you will get to see that video in a couple of weeks. Again, make sure to subscribe to this channel if you aren't subscribed yet. If you're listening to this on the podcast, then just subscribe there. And if you want to see it on YouTube, head over to Easy Peasy Ecom. If you're on YouTube and you want to rather listen to this, then just head over to Easy Peasy Sourcing, or look for Easy Peasy Sourcing in any podcast directory, and you're going to find the podcast. So now let's dive in what the sourcing agent is doing for you, right? So at the very beginning, when you hire them, the deal that I make with all freelancing agents is they get $50 upfront to get me quotations, right? So there's two things. There's one upfront fee that I pay them just so that they know I'm serious, and usually you don't, you might not have to do that, but I just like to do it just so that they know I'm serious. They know they can rely on me for payments, and I just want to give them a little bit of something too, so they feel obligated to give me something back. So I just want to create that little kind of I give them something, they have to give me something back kind of environment, right? Until that point, I don't sign any contracts with them. So they have to go and find 5 suppliers, quotations that are good, that are based on what I need, right? So I expect them to reach out to many more suppliers than just 5. Right, but they have to go and filter through a bunch of suppliers and come back to me with 3 to 5 quotations. That's what I expect of them, and that's what they get paid $50 upfront to do the work. If the prices are good, and if I'm happy with what they delivered, then we move further, and only then when we place an order, they get a 5% commission on the overall order value, right? So what does that mean? If you order something for $10,000, they get paid $500, right? That's the commission here. The agreement that I like to do with them is, hey, you get $50 upfront, you get me 3 to 5 quotations. You also order samples for me. I will pay the samples. So the samples still go out of your pocket, but the agent has to bundle all of those samples and kind of consolidate them. So you save the costs you save the individual shipping costs from each supplier, right? So you send them all to your agent. So that's the upfront thing. And then they get 5% of the total order value. But if now the total order value, if their commission of that is smaller than $250, then I say you get $250 instead. Because if you only order $1,000 worth of things and they get $50, well, then that's not a very good incentive for them to work for you. So that's kind of the agreement that I do here. And the way that I find my agents, the best agents, I always found on Upwork.com. Right, so I go on Upwork, I put a job post out, I interview different agents, I see who's reliable, I go through the process of making sure, like this, I get a gut feeling of who I want to work with, and then the person that I start with, the payments in the very first order, they go all through Upwork. I make sure that I can pay the factory directly, and all the payments go through Upwork to the agent. So how Upwork works, that's basically an escrow. So you hire them and you pay them the $50 and they get you the quotes. And then that kind of job is done, or they get like a milestone for that, and that's done. And as soon as, only when you approve the work, then they can withdraw the money. So if you don't approve the work, if they didn't, if it wasn't satisfying what they did, then you don't pay. So it's easy as that. So there's no contract needed here. Then further down the road, we have, okay, now you get a percentage on your the total order value, or the $250. On the first order, you might just go for the $250. And you say, okay, I know around my order will be, well, this and this much, so let's go for a fixed fee. So they don't have an incentive to raise the price to up their commission. And that's what you do. So there's no contract here that you have to do with the agent here. Right? If you have an agent that is working kind of on his own, if you're on freelancing basis, it makes sense to have a contract for the guidelines, for just to put on paper, well, this is what you have to do as an agent. This is what I have to do as a buyer. This is the moments when I have to commit to payments, and these are the amounts of payments or the percentages or whatever that I have to pay. Put that on paper. And when I say paper, it could be an email. Right, but it's not the reason why you want to do the contract. It's not for any kind of legal obligations here, because there's nothing. To be honest, there's nothing you could do. Like if the agent screws you over somehow, and they charge you money, and they don't, they charge you the $50, and then they don't come back for the quotes. Well, that's $50 gone. The only the payment later, the bigger payment, they only get when you place the order anyway. So that's only in the moment when they've done their work, when your product is customized, when the order agreement with the factory is done, when they help you through all of these things, then you pay them. So there's no risk on your side, really. But what's the worst that's going to happen? The agent's going to disappear in the middle of the process. Well, you already have that contact information from the factory, so you could take over or hire another agent to do that. So there's no big risk on your side where you could say, hey, I need to get a contract, right? Like I say, if it's a freelancing agent, just always make sure that you pay your factory, that you pay them yourself. Because as soon as you pay the factory, sometimes you can pay them with PayPal. Usually with the first order, I never send any bank transfers. I like to do payments through Alibaba. So if the agent finds you a supplier, they could be on Alibaba as well, right? And then I go and say, hey, now agent, I would like to pay the supplier, but we need to pay them through Alibaba, because on Alibaba, you have the trade assurance. And that's really what you need. You need this insurance, because if the supplier has a problem on the order, you don't want them to have all the money, right? And then how it works is you pay 30% as a down payment, 70% net payment only after the order is done and the quality is confirmed. Then you pay the net payment to the factory. So also there's no big risk. That's a topic for another day though, but just as of the order agreement with the agent, have an agreement, whether that's through Upwork, whether that's through, other platforms, you found them on you're just chatting with them on WeChat or on Skype. you want to make sure that both parties know what everyone has to do. Okay, and I will review that. I will go through all of the steps for you in a minute. But that's really the only thing that you have to have noted. Like for the legal side, what you're going to do. Like there's no, are you going to sue someone in China over $50? That's not going to happen. Like there's no legal thing. It's just about, these are your obligations. These are my obligations. Okay. So the deals that I like to make with the agents is, just to recap, $50 upfront. You get me 3 to 5 quotations from suppliers that you validated, right? That you spoke with. I want you to speak with more suppliers, but this should be your selection. Okay. I need those quotes. When I'm happy with those quotes, when I don't think you screw me over, don't say it like that, by the way. When I don't think when I think the prices are fair, then I want to go into further process. So what I want to work, you get paid your $50 then, and then all the other steps that we go through are basically, you're going to have to deal with the supplier for my customization. So for my logo, for custom packaging if you need, to arrange the order. You just want them to negotiate with the supplier. You want them to handle all the communication with your supplier, get samples for you, order samples for you. You still have to pay them. Okay, you still have to pay for the samples, but the agent can bundle those samples for you, right? They can receive all of those samples, put them together in one box and send you that one box. That is so much cheaper than you ordering individually from all different kind of suppliers. Then what you want to do is you want them to do an order agreement with the factory, where you have a proper agreement, where you have basically penalty fees in case the supplier delivers too late, where you have the whole agreement, how the product should look like, all of that stuff. You want the agent to arrange the order, to say, hey guys, we're placing an order. Please send me the link for Alibaba through which we can pay. And then let's go on with that. Your agent should be able to check in with the factory during the production period to make sure everything is run on time, everything is running smoothly. And once that's done, you want your agent to help you arrange a quality control. You could do that. Like that's not a big thing. That's kind of optional. And you should do that. So arrange a quality control, have them come into the supplier, check the quality of your goods, and only then, once everything is confirmed, then you pay your net payment, the 70% for your order completion and for the shipping, right? And that's also the moment when you pay your agent. You say, hey agent, please arrange the shipping for me. Here's your fee. Once everything's shipped out, and you have the tracking number from your agent or from the factory, then you say, okay, here's your fee. You're done. We're good. Thank you. And then your products are on the way to you. Okay. So that's all the obligations that the agents have. Your obligations obviously is paying them on time, paying them for the things you agreed to, and everything else that you have to do. Agree on how often do you have to communicate, what are kind of the time frames that they have to come back to you with certain things. So be sure that you're on the similar side. So if you ask them to get you quotes, you want to have agreed to, okay, I need those quotes within 7 days or 10 days. You don't want them to go out for it and then 2 weeks later you're like, so how is it going? And they say, oh, I need another week. Because that creates tension. You don't want that, right? So you want to have clear agreement, but you don't need a legal contract. So I hope that answers your questions. Let me know anything you want to know in the comments, what videos you also want to hear about. Make sure to check out the trainings. If you want me to source your product for you, we have a whole team in China that can do that. If you don't want to go through the search and find a reliable agent, look, I can be your agent and we can do that for you. Just check out the links in the description box. There are a couple of trainings that we have for you. Some are free, some are paid, and we have a couple of services that we offer. So just have a look if that interests you. If not, make sure to subscribe to this channel, share this video if it helped you, like it, and well, I'll see you tomorrow.